about the wrong thing. But they were watching. They were listening. They were absorbing. We glorified it in our movies. We aired it on the radio. We labeled it on our clothes. They didn't manifest it.
While there are so many children dying every day,
like it's cool to see their bodies laying in a grave.
Every act begins with a thought and then a choice. Frederick Bales, author and teacher of New Thought Science, says, man's power of choice enables him to think like an angel or a devil, a king or a slave. Whatever he chooses, mind will create and manifest.
A lot of us have leading spirits, but we lead each other to do the wrong instead of doing positive. So he's constantly attacking. He'll put you in a position, you know what I'm saying, where you feel like you have to do what you have to do to make a couple of dollars because you gotta survive.
Biblical teaching heralds this fact: life and death are in the power of the tongue. So you must choose life, not just for yourself, but for your children.
This day I call heaven and earth as a witness against you, that I've set before you life and death, blessing and curses. And I choose life so that you and your children may live.
The OS movement has made a choice. The choice was to implement a powerful and unyielding movement to rescue a generation from the clutches of gun violence, domestic violence, HIV and AIDS, teen pregnancy, and drunk driving.
The pressure of the world is telling these kids right now, if you don't carry a gun, I can't respect you. If you don't shoot that person, I can't respect you. Our kids right now that's in a jail cell right now, that was forced to do something that their friends told them to because of the pressures of the world. And that's really not them. We have teenage girls, you know, that have having sex and becoming pregnant because they felt like the odd one out because the pressures of the world say it's okay to go ahead and lay down.
I feel like that's all that life is really about, sex. That's all that guys think about. I cannot find one guy that just doesn't want to get to know me for me.
Our mission is to literally and definitively change minds, thereby positively affecting choices and diligently shattering the rising statistics of doom in our areas of concern.
When you talk about the beginning of the OS movement and how it was actually conceived, and I remember a story of my son. He was 15 years old at the time, and he came home one day, and when he came home, his eyes was red shot. And I said, what's wrong with your eyes? And my eyes were red because I was crying. I cried all the way home because I realized how my life has changed, you know, since I moved here, you know, with this family. And where I used to be, I'm not anymore, and how I have the opportunity, you know, to better my life. And I was just praising God all the way home, and I was crying, and my eyes just got welled up. And when he was telling me that, I remember how that made me feel, and I was just, wow. I mean, I was just so happy. But at the same time, I was also sad because I know there's hundreds of him out there, thousands of him out there, maybe hundreds of thousands, but do they have the opportunity to experience the other side?
What is the OS movement combating? Mothers Against Drunk Drivers reports some 13,000 people died in alcohol-impaired traffic incidents. The Centers for Disease Control says more than 53% of new HIV infections occurred in gay and bisexual men. African American men and women have an incidence rate 7 times higher than whites when it comes to contracting the disease. Every 9 seconds, a woman in the United States is beaten by her intimate partner, and a child's exposure to domestic abuse is the strongest risk factor for transmitting violent behavior from one generation to the next, according to the American Psychological Association.
Mommy, are you okay? Did Daddy hit you again? Let me call Granddaddy.
Hello, let me speak to your mama.
Like the domestic violence song came from my mom, who was involved in a relationship for 20 years. And 18 out of the 20, she was getting beat up every other day for at least 18 years straight, you know, going through it every other day. And a young guy, being a little boy, observing that and couldn't do nothing about it, you know, so it was like I was writing a song to my mom to let her know, you know, I feel your pain, and if I could give you my shoulder to lean on, I would. If I could do anything for you to get you out of the situation, I would.
Law enforcement officials report that violence among and against African American youth is growing at chilling rates in major metropolitan areas across the country. And as it does, youth violence in general increases.
Now you have them in jail. Now they have a record. So now what are you going to do? You're going to go ahead and now do your time and get out of the system and get out of the jail cells. And now what you're going to do? You're going to try to get a job. You can't get a job because you have a record. So now, because you were being the N-word outside on the street, you probably got a young girl pregnant. So now you're the father of this young child. So now you have to provide. Now you're trying to provide with a record. So now, with that record, you can't get a decent job to really facilitate and take care of your children. Then what you gonna do? But everybody wanna blame the system when they're not taking responsibility of themselves. Look at what you feed your mind. Look at what you tell yourself. Look at what you speak into yourself. Look at the things you say about yourself. Or look at who's saying things about you. Because you're walking around with these headphones all the time in the library, in the subways, in the bus stops. That's all you hearing. N-word, B-word, N-word, B-word, N-word, B-word. You become those things.
I was seeing so many, especially if it was my older brothers and stuff. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't my brothers, but I'm just saying in general, a lot of them was getting into that type of rowdy activity and things like that. So it was kind of like, okay, this is what I see. You know what I'm saying? I see him. And they got money, they got the nice car, they got this, they got that, they got nice clothes, you know what I'm saying? My mama couldn't buy me that. And we stand in a 1-bedroom apartment, we struggling, I'm sleeping in the living room. I mean, it's, you know what I'm saying? It just was not easy, you know what I'm saying? And so I didn't have my father, so I started trying to go to the fast money and trying to be on what the big boys was on and stuff like that. And you know, at that time, the older dudes, they don't really care if they got a young man working, because they know that we juveniles, so we not gonna go to jail and be in there up alone, you know what I'm saying? So it was okay with them. They wasn't trying to encourage us not to do it. I done been coming from the store with my big brother, and he got shot in his arm 3 times. Plenty of times I could have been dead, you know what I'm saying? Doing things, trying to get money to the extreme when it wasn't called for, when I probably ain't really needed like that. I could have just took a couple of more days to chill and wait on God, and I probably would have had what I needed plus more. You know what I'm saying? But nobody was telling me that. Nobody was letting me know the power of God. Now, I knew about God because I was brought up in a church home, you know what I'm saying? But I just never, you know, I was thinking about, well, we need this right now, we need that. I ain't have a PlayStation, and you know what I'm saying? I ain't have, you know what I'm saying, cable in my house, and we was watching the channel 33 all the time, or 7 or 10 or something, you know what I'm saying? I just always seen more and wanted more. I got caught up in the material thing.
Everybody better get ready for this kingdom come. So many bodies is dropping, they all seem to be young. Sometimes I think.
Furthermore, an alarming number of teenagers are becoming sexually active, seeking a false concept of love, acceptance, and sincere relationships, finding themselves more often than not teenaged parents rejected by their peers, their families, and their lovers.
To thine own self be true. Don't ever try to change just because you want to be with that person. Don't ever change. Don't ever lose that mindset of who you are, because once you leave that mindset of who you are, it takes a long time to get back to, you know, who you are. It changes you.
These statistics begin with a choice, and the OS movement has taken aim at the choices of our children, our friends, and our families, so that lives are changed by choice.
And the OS movement, we understand that that's where it starts in a new generation. So if our attack, or our mission is to create something positive that they're watching. You understand? So we're going to be a message of light.
The OS movement believes that in spite of the conditions, situations, life circumstances that have affected those targeted in the marketing campaigns, a new life can begin and lives can be wonderfully altered with one choice. The movement is tangible initiatives to promote and support change, from raw billboard flights to strategically place radio and television campaigns, fashion, social networks, and working business opportunities modeled after highly successful corporations. The sound and portraits relegated to urban music and film must also be transformed to awaken a culture of positive and life-sustaining choices. Someone or something must dare to electrify the abyss. The OS movement is it.
So let's talk about the media campaign, where our goal is to have billboards out there. And imagine this billboard saying, you know, here's an image of someone in jail. Here's another image of someone that's 6 feet under that died. And the caption says, you know, who really won? They both lost life. And it's just something, a seed that's planted that makes people think, wow, you're right. This is a no-win situation.
The OS movement right now is making music to attract their ears. Once you attract their ears, now you got to attract their eyes. And how you attract their eyes is with the clothes that, you know, that we're putting out.
The OS movement sees opportunities for transformation, reigniting respect for life, and an open window from which it can scream, choose life. This movement believes that it is up to us to make a choice to offer hope, life, opportunities, and viable alternatives. This movement says we can do it, we must do it, because it is about our children's children.